minutes to get through the toll booth. About 10 minutes to get through the customs, U.S.
Wow.
It was really strange. There was the only reason was just too much traffic trying to get through two gates. They only had 2 gates open. They were backed right up, almost to that to the bypass entrance.
That's surprising.
Yeah, we've never had trouble getting through a toll booth before. Somebody was making a statement of some kind, I'm sure. It wasn't the little yakkies there with their takeover things that used to be, what, 2-3 years ago they were waving everybody through.
Now it's against the law, apparently.
Well, yeah, it's obviously against the law. Sometimes that's just a suggestion in Mexico. Anyway.
Now they enforce it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got coming home was fine. There was no problems at all. Got the proverbial green light at the Mexican customs. Away we go.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know I've hit the go button, so we're live on YouTube. This is the San Carlos Computer Club. Lacking in members this morning. It's myself, Bill, and Paul making up the majority of our group. I guess Cheryl's off to one side of you, Bill. Yeah. So there's 4 of us.
Well, it's the most important 4.
I'm in a resource-constrained environment again in Phoenix doing work, trying to do this whole thing off of this old laptop. But if anything, it's encouraging me to buy a new laptop. If you didn't get a copy of it, I did send out a document yesterday with some topics mostly left over from last week. I couldn't remember if we'd covered which ones we had covered, which ones we hadn't. And I'm going to stick, as soon as I find the right icon, chat with everybody, I'm going to stick the link in our chat here for you 2 that are there in case you want to bring it up right from the chat. Oh my goodness. Bill, your background noise is so bad when you're not talking. I think you're going to have to mute when you're not talking. That's too bad. It would be nice if it could sort out the background noise from actual talking. I've recently set up a Ring camera in the front of my house, and if you've used any of these products, the one that I've got is a Spotlight Ring camera. Good morning, Chester. We're just getting going, and we are already on YouTube.
Good morning.
I was just making a comment because Bill's got a lot of bad background noise happening when he doesn't talk. When he does talk, it's very clear that the algorithm can figure out what it's supposed to be dialing in on. But when he's silent, there's enough background wave noise on the beach there that it's creating the static that's coming through. And I was mentioning that I just set up a Ring. Oh, hey, and Jim's with us too. Maybe I'll make sure to send this link once more in case nobody has it easily available to them. That this Ring camera, I got a Ring Spotlight camera, and the one of the features, if you guys, maybe all of you are familiar with this stuff, but this particular camera has a security light that can come on with movement, a motion sensor, and then it's also got a speaker and a microphone on it. So if you're confronting anyone on the camera, you can have a conversation with them. I only bring it up because of Bill's background sound. It was reminding me that when I was monitoring the camera, it sounded like there were voices talking to me. I went out to the front of the house to see what it was, and it was birds chirping. But something about the algorithm the audio algorithm had it sounding like there was a conversation happening in front of my house. Like that sound of a conversation where you feel like people are talking but you can't make out any of the words, which has become kind of a norm for me these days. Yeah, Bill.
When I put my Ring camera in, it's just a camera microphone. Uh, but I had motion detect on. And I had a deck umbrella out in the front of the house with a tie down with a little flap that was loose.
Yeah.
And I kept getting these damn motion, ring alerts. And I had to get my son to fix that before I could use the Ring camera at all. It's very annoying when it notifies you every 3-4 minutes that there's motion at your front door.
Yeah, have you dialed in the motion sensor area on the Ring
Yeah,
app?
I did now. It's dialed in, off to the side, but that umbrella isn't there anymore. So
that's not a problem either.
We get notifications when the neighbor's dog comes up and sniffs around on our front deck. And
I get notifications when
cat.
I get notifications when my dogs are curious and go out to the front gate for no particular reason. The dogs set it off.
Do you talk to your dog? Does he respond when he's out there?
It's funny. I've done it a couple of times, and they're just confused. They're looking around for somebody talking to them.
Yeah.
But you keep talking to them, and they're wagging their tail. They're obviously hearing you. Oh.
Moving inside now, it's a little bit too cool out here.
It's overcast today.
Yeah.
So Jim, Chester, just so you know, we've already clicked the go button on the YouTube, so we're all live on the internet right now. And we haven't really picked any topics yet. I think I just sent the link again in the chat if you're interested in the document I put together. It's got a bunch of stuff in it from last week and at least one new article. Oh, 2 new articles. Somebody has put something in. Before we get to any of that, though, do we have any stuff right off the top of the meeting that we should share? I've had an interesting experience I wanted to share, but if any of you have anything, I'll let you go first.
I'm so proud I have a problem today. And it's with my phone. It's with my phone, which is an Android phone.
Mm-hmm.
And last night I was looking at it, and suddenly the screen went black to, I guess, the night view level. So it looks like this. Oh,
that's interesting.
It's black.
Yeah.
So it's just reflecting now. So if I turn it on, I can barely read anything.
Is it so? Have you tried fully turning it off and turning it on?
I did do a restart and it didn't help.
When you did the restart, did the manufacturer logo show up at correct light?
Yeah.
It did.
A big yellow screen.
Is yellow normal?
Screen.
Or red? Is that normal? And it was as bright as it would.
It was a normal start for the camera. Yeah.
All right. Well, that does sound like a setting that's gone haywire. Then, if you can restart the phone, yeah.
I don't know if I touched something while I was looking at it because it's so sensitive. You know, there's always these mystery spots on the screen. And,
do you happen to know what version of Android it is?
No.
In more of the more recent versions of Android, and you might have to do this by feel if you can't see it, but you might be able to drag down from the top and, I don't know, monkey paw a slider to the right, because that's where you would find your brightness setting.
I thought it was to the left. It was bright on the right and dark on the left.
That's right. You want to swipe to the right,
Yeah, all
from
right.
left to right. And let's see, Android reset.
Maybe I can get it
Right.
to recognize my face and turn on. Otherwise, I have to do the code swipe, you know.
And hey, what's the name brand of your phone?
Well, let me tell you.
Is it like a Redmi or a Xiaomi or a Samsung?
No, I think it might be Samsung.
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
To
so when
reset
the
the adaptive
alarm
right.
rings, the alarm rang at 8:30 this morning, and I just had to pretend I saw the images, turn it off. So with that, now I restarted it, like I say, by using that option. But I guess I could have turned it off and then restarted it.
What was the option you
Maybe that
used?
would help. Well, there's if you hold the button down on the side, you get three options. One is to turn off, and one is to restart. I forget what the other one is. The one in the middle. So I could pretend I see that
Right, and
and
swipe it.
just turn it off.
Yeah. And
So
you
I'll
don't
try to
know,
do that.
you think it's a Samsung that you have?
I don't know. My wife's got the same one, but I don't know where hers is.
Hmm.
Okay, now I'm going to turn it off.
I'm just doing some quick research here to see if I can find any. It's interesting that you're having this problem. I have felt this problem on my iPhone 11.
I don't know if
I
I
have
did it.
I've found myself out like exercising under the sun just beating down on me, and the adaptive brightness is either not working correctly. You know, it must not be working correctly because it's supposed to crank up the brightness so you can see it in direct light. And it's cranked all the way
Uh-huh.
down to the point where I can barely see the screen. And I have had to like monkey paw this, just remember where the brightness is in the phone and get it up or get
Yeah.
it into a really dark area so that I could see it, like almost a pitch dark area to see it. Of course, what's making that even
Well,
worse is my glasses tint automatically. So I'm out in the sun with my glasses as dark as they can be, trying to read a phone that's as dark as it is to try and get it to turn the brightness back up.
yeah. Well, you know, I've seen that slider before, but normally now when I pull it down from the top, I get my a summary of my messages and things like that, and I haven't seen that slider in a long time.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if that's part of your issue.
Yeah, I think I need a new phone, but it'll be until March before I can get one up in the States.
Well, the best advice I could give you is to get somebody to take a look at it for you, like Sony in my office, or take it downtown. And Benny, you know, my brother-in-law is the real one to help you with it. He has that
Oh, yeah.
hospital cellular behind Electra in Wymus, and he'd be able to
Find
tell you
Electric.
whether it, yeah. But he's the
Yeah.
one that would know immediately whether it's just a glitch in the setting or if there's actually a problem with the phone.
Okay. And where's Electra?
You know that big department store on the main road on the left as you've gotten down to 20th Street? It's a big yellow with a red logo. Electra. They
Okay.
sell appliances in there and furniture, things like that.
And
So
he's
what you do,
behind that.
yeah, what you do is you drive past it. It's going to be on the left. You drive past it and you go forward towards the plaza, and you're looking for the ability to make a left-hand turn. And then you make a left-hand turn, and then you take the first left that you can, and that takes you back towards San Carlos. You're in Guaymas, but it takes you back
Yeah.
that direction. And then you follow that, and that road is just parallel to the main road, and
Yeah.
and Electra will still be on your left. Benny's shop is on the right, almost behind the building.
Okay.
There's a row of little shops, and there's a row of parking to the left in front of the shops, and then there's Electra, and his is one of the little shops in front of the parking.
And what's the name of it?
Hospital Cellular Hospital.
Okay. If I have to, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, because if you've reached the point where you're like, this must be broken, then he's the one that can verify that for you and whether it can be easily fixed or not.
Well, maybe I'll try Sony first.
Yeah, because I think it would be good to have somebody like me just look at it for you to verify that it's more than just a glitch in your settings.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Next problem.
Cool. All right. Have we got any other impromptu stuff to look at? I'm going to throw this out there. It's not computer related. I'm trying to figure out how to get a copy of my daughter's COVID-19 vaccination from 2021. Somehow we have not found our own copy of it, and I have not come up with a good source. So if anybody has any ideas, please let me know. She's doing a foreign exchange, and they wanted her vaccination records, and they want to see a record of that COVID shot we did in the States. We did twice. So she had both doses up in Alaska at Walgreens. I'm waiting to call the Walgreens because the Walgreens online service doesn't reflect that they have that information. And right now I'm waiting to hear from the state of Alaska. But if anybody has any other ideas, I'd appreciate hearing them.
Well, if you went to Walgreens, it's a disaster trying to talk to them on the telephone. But we could go over and talk to them when we get up there. We'll be up there on Friday. And we can go in and talk to them about it.
Yeah, I think we're desperately trying to sort this out sooner than that. But if we don't have a solution, I might send you up there, Pop.
Okay.
Because what I've got a record of her first appointment. I've got a number that's associated with that appointment. And maybe that would help track it down if it's a question of tracking it down in their office.
Well, I don't think it'll be too much trouble. I know they were very thorough when we had ours done in there. So.
Well, that's what I was surprised to find that they didn't have a record online because I just figured it would be in there. But nope, mine isn't in there, or not mine. BB's isn't in there, and Emily's isn't in there. So I don't know. But thank you. That's a great offer.
Sure.
I see Sid jumped into our meeting. Sid will be here at the end of the week. Yay.
Escaping how much snow, Sid?
Gosh, yeah, you guys have been getting dumped on.
We had our roof done on a couple days ago. In 16, 18, they took it clear down to all the snow was gone. And the next day there were 9 inches on the roof again.
Oh, geez. Having to shovel your roof as often as your driveway these days.
Cost $900 to get the snow off of that roof.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we got to do something about the ice dams because I've got doors that aren't closing right. Everything's kind of sticky. Big load on the roof.
I bet you're going to be happy to get out of there for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Sid had a pipe burst over the Christmas vacation while we were in Puerto Rico. So his landlord's in Puerto Rico getting married, and he's dealing with a hole in his wall, showers of water.
Oh my gosh.
Well, no, it's just a pinhole leak,
A pinhole leak.
but it had run for 6 days. If I'd been down with you guys, it'd have been like 3 weeks that thing ran, and we'd been in real trouble.
What a mess. So, has anybody brought any of their own other issues or questions or things of interest? I will run down this list. Maybe I should share it one more time, and since we've had a couple more people join us, maybe they need a quick link to it. I will send it again here. Maybe. For some reason it doesn't want to go. I'm like looking at the original resend, and it's not going anywhere. So I guess I won't worry about it. At the top of this document, I found something very interesting that they were showing off at CES that I don't know if you've been paying attention to this, but I think you should. The Rabbit R1. Let me see if I can. Where's my main monitor? Is that my main monitor? There we go. And this is a device that they're touting as an AI interface. And this is probably the closest I've seen to what I suspect will be the cell phone of the future, will be our ability to have a smaller device that gives us information from audio prompts or visual prompts without the need of a keyboard. Damn it. I did mention I am resource constrained on this end. Anyway, this is a great demo video. It's done in like an Apple style. So everything, all their experiences come out and work correctly. This is what the device looks like if you can see it on my screen. It's got a camera and a jog wheel. The camera is 360 I guess it's 360 rotating, so it can be in front of the device or behind the device. And then it's got this touch screen and this jog wheel for input. You click the wheel to talk to it, and then you're able to access information on it through that screen.
And teach R1 to learn new.
The Rabbit R1, I don't think this is a finished product, even though it looks really well done. It's done by the case is done by a Kickstarter group called Teenage Engineering, who always put together some fairly impressive products.
Things like ChatGPT are extremely good at.
I'm afraid I do not have enough bandwidth to share this with you guys. I want to, but I can't, so I'm going to give up on it. But I recommend you guys check out the presentation, because this is what I've always thought our phones are going to start moving to. A smaller device that's much more intelligent, so you don't have to. Its focus will be on input and output. Yeah, Chester, I see your hand up. Chester? You're muted.
Yeah, I'm here. I may have to leave the meeting at any time. I'm expecting a phone call, but I wanted to relate something that I've discussed before, but it keeps happening. And the issue is on Facebook, which I look at most every day just for entertainment to see what all is on there. And several times in the last week, there's been one that's kind of interest, and you only click on it because it's of interest, but it shows that there's a big car wreck and people killed. And at the top of the picture, it has the name of someone that's on your list. So naturally, you would click on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you do, you get this big sign that says "Do not" and mail that says, "Do not hang up," and your computer is frozen, and to call this telephone number.
Oh,
And
wow.
every time that happens, and it's happened, I think 3 times in the last week or so, because I'm dumb enough to keep clicking on the same thing. But
Well,
anyway, I immediately shut off my computer, and it's a laptop, so you really can't unplug it because it's got a battery. But anyway, I shut it off, and if I start it back up immediately, then I go right back to that screen. If I wait about 15 or 20 minutes before turning the computer back on, then the computer in fact does turn on, and that screen is gone.
now
And
is the screen covering your Windows desktop, or is this just in your web browser when you try and get back to Facebook?
it covers it's a complete coverage.
Okay.
It covers the screen.
Well, Chester, I think that as soon as you have that kind of experience, I think you need to go wipe out your cookies and history on your web browser to see if that goes away, to see if
Yeah.
yeah, I think that the fact that it could be bringing that page up again means there's the potential. I'm not saying something is getting into your computer, but there's the potential for something to get in. And the
Right.
safest thing to do would be to just dump your history, clear.
I guess
What's
the
that?
reason why I mention it is that if you're on Facebook and happen to see from someone that you know and that sent it, and it has this picture and wording relating to a serious automobile accident, don't open it. So that's the reason I mentioned it.
Yeah, in fact, it's probably a good opener for just a discussion on getting hacked and all the fraudulent stuff that's out there. I was just thinking, I was seeing if I could bring it up real quick. I just saw a meme the other day that I thought was so poignant for where we are right now. I was seeing if I could find it because what it was just basically an image that says how normal people think they get hacked, and it's the
No, it's a picture of a car wreck. It's a picture of a serious car wreck.
sure, and
Cars roll.
this is what I'm getting at, Chester, is that in this meme is so poignant because half the picture says this is how people think they get hacked, and it's like this dark, hoodie wearing hacker in green and black light with all these computers and programs. But then the other half is really a picture of all these other things, these quizzes that you take on Facebook, your article that seems very interesting that supposedly was put in front of you by a friend of yours, your which Star Wars character are you, type quizzes. These are actually the things that are hacking people. Your experience is the norm, not the exception. You want to be concerned about these kinds of things. To the extent I would say, I haven't done a game or a quiz or pursued any advertisement on Facebook for years now because the potential of it being a malicious actor is so high, it's not worth the risk. Even I've had a couple just like kind of just jerk me, go, oh wow, that sounds interesting, and I'm about to click on it, and I realize, wait a second, that has been put in front of me. This is an ad or an app or a quiz, and I'm not actually interested in that. They just said the right words to make me interested. But what that could really be is something that, at the very least, is collecting my information, my Facebook persona. It knows me. It knows I'll click on these things. It knows what kinds of things I'll click on. Depending on what I follow through on it, it may have access to the list of people that follow me or the people that I follow on Facebook. All of that's just opening up a can of worms. Why would you do it? When you look at your Facebook feed, I think now what you should be doing is trying to train your eyes the way we did with Google Ads for so long. where you're looking at content that's genuine, genuine. All of a sudden something scrolls past you and your eyes have learned that's an ad or that's in a game or that's a quiz or whatever, and you're not tempted to read it. You're not paying any, even if it was shared by a friend, you're not tempted to read it. You don't want to pursue it. You're not even interested in why they shared it. They shared it because they made a mistake, because no one should be sharing that stuff, because all it does is open you up to potential harm. What are the worst things that can happen by ignoring all these things is you don't get to find out which of the Lord of the Rings characters you most resemble. You also have you've not shared any information that can be attributed back to you. So you haven't opened a door for more of this stuff to come at you. Chester, what you're describing sounds like the worst version of this stuff. The most innocent of this stuff is still tracking your information. Oh, in fact, here's a good example. Let me bring up this picture of the kind of the jest I was trying to make earlier about the meme. But I think that if you've gotten to the place where this is popping up a screen on your desktop, then you probably need to go into your web browser and just clear everything out of it. I don't believe that you need to clear passwords if you're using your web browser as your password manager. What you really want to clear are downloadable apps, which is a check mark in all our web browsers. You want to clear history, which I mean, I don't mean any offense, but what your history is including, it's a list of everywhere you've been previously, including malicious sites that you're having trouble identifying were malicious. So by clearing the history, you're basically just taking those off the slate. You can't accidentally click on them. You can't accidentally refer back to them. You can't go searching for something you did in the past and have them pop up by accident. Unfortunately, you are creating a slightly more cumbersome experience for you because you can't go back and look at all the legitimate stuff. But I still recommend it. When you've had this experience, you want to clear the history, you want to clear the cookies, which identify you, and you want to clear the downloadable app content. It's going to be written something like that. But in all the browsers that I've used, these are check boxes. When you're given the option to clear your history, these are the options that are presented to you that you can choose from. I would not clear passwords if you're using your browser as a password manager, because it would create an undue frustration. It wouldn't give you any extra security at this point. It would just make things more difficult for you to get back up and going. This is the meme that I was thinking of when we start talking about this. This is how people think they get hacked, and you see the anonymous hacker up there at the top of this. But then it goes through the list here of how you actually get hacked. What was your landlady's name? Do you remember your first teacher's name? Remember the first concert you went to?
Well, I never answered questions like that.
I understand, Chester. I get you, Chester. I'm just using it as an opportunity to point out all these different directions. What you're describing could have been an ad that got into their ad cycle that is intentionally tailored to look like something a friend might be sharing. If you follow what I mean, it is definitely malicious if it has ended up in this experience. It just so much more emphasizes how we have to be vigilant on the things that we can't just casually be clicking on things. And I'm sure.
What comment do you have with respect to the fact that I just turn my computer off and it goes away? I do exactly what they tell me not to do.
Yeah, no, I think the moment that it's doing this kind of behavior, you can't trust anything that it's telling you. It's great social engineering, but uh, because it works, your computer is telling you to do something, and you feel like you have to follow the instructions. I've been in my own circumstances with customers where they're stepping through the process that we had already decided is not vetted. I'm like, wait, no. It's like, yeah, but it's telling me to do this. I'm like, no, no, we just decided that was a malicious actor. This message you're getting is not genuine. So you cannot expect anything after that message to be genuine. Anything that 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 sparks off of that message is to be considered dangerous and to be disbelieved. And so you're right. It tells you not to turn it off. I think regard if it said leave it on, if it said turn it off, if it said contact this phone number, if it said just wait 10 minutes, none of those messages matter at the moment you realize it's a malicious actor. You need to do your own thinking. You don't need to be looking at those messages. So I think you're right in your approach. Just turn it off. A lot of this is fearware. A lot of this gets people. They do these. It's social engineering. They're nudging you towards making a decision. And what you want to do is stand firm in your thinking. It's like, wait, no, I didn't intend to do this. The software updates that pop up in front of you occasionally say, hey, Adobe wants to update, and you're like, hold on a second, I didn't ask Adobe to update. In fact, I don't even use Adobe. Why is this popping up in front of me? Cancel, ignore, maybe restart the computer. If you didn't go after it, it shouldn't be in front of you. And I think that's a good rule of thumb with a lot of this stuff is if something's popping up in front of you, trying to get a reaction out of you, it's probably to be suspicious of. Any comments on my rant?
No, the basic problem is that you have people on your list that you have always have contact to. And when one of those sends you the post on Facebook, why your tendency is to open it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, the other one, Chester, is the friend requests. Like I've got people on my list that maybe I don't hear from for years. Maybe they're customers from San Carlos, and all of a sudden they're sending me a friend request. Well, I used to spend a lot of time trying to figure out what was going on, but now I just delete them because they're on my list. They they shouldn't need to send me another friend request. There's such a higher probability that is somebody who's who's been hacked, for lack of better terminology. Hacked may be a little too aggressive of a way,
yeah,
or not quite the right.
I don't
You follow what I
respond
mean?
to I don't respond to friend requests. Too many of them have been hacked, and
Yeah,
they let you know.
yeah, that's right. I mean, if it's somebody close to you, then you know immediately that they're hacked. If there's somebody like I'm describing, somebody I haven't interacted with for years, well, first of all, it doesn't really matter if they're on my friends list because I haven't interacted with them for years. But second of all, they're on my friends list, so they shouldn't be sending. It's more than likely, most of the time, it's a hacked friend request. All of these things, and they're all. I mean, I think of these as a ledger of reasons why social networks need regulation, and we need to stay away from them for the most part. We've seen nothing but bad. Not a lot of good has come out of them recently. There's people have lost lots of personal information. They felt like they've swayed elections. They've been used to control people in certain circumstances. Like they become reliant on it as a communications tool, and then they turn it off in a country that's having uprisings. I I don't know what the replacement or the solution is for social networks, but I definitely think that we're all better off, at least using them sparingly and with suspicion. I think that's probably the norm in 2024 is when you get on Facebook, it's for a specific reason. You're not going to waste a lot of time on there, and you're very suspicious of everything you didn't come there to do. Well, thank you for the opportunity to rant a little bit about where we are with that stuff. If you're curious, in my opinion, more of my opinions on this kind of stuff, I think that there is beginning to be an opening for the idea of a social network that is part of our regular life persona that is maybe government sponsored or person sponsored. I think we're starting to see the inklings of that kind of need. And maybe it'll come out in some of these forms. I know that there are places. Alaska has just started up an Alaskan persona in the last few years. You can go to the Alaska website and you can interact with the state of Alaska in different ways, mostly for documents and things of that nature. But after you've started using something like that, then it seems like a natural fit to just turn on like a community forum. And now you're getting that feed locally from, so you have a vetted persona from your state government that can be trusted to interact with other vetted personas in that same platform. I think we're going to start to see stuff like that emerge more and more. Probably won't be as racy though. Well, where are we now? Let's see. We looked at the rabbit one. There's a link to that video I suggested. It's fun. Here's another fun one that I just found. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Germany put out a request. Oh, what's it called? A job listing for their railroads. The German railroad seeks IT admin to manage MS-DOS and Windows 3.11 systems. I thought I'd mention it to you folks. Maybe somebody in our group is looking for some extra income. I don't know anybody that's working in these systems anymore. I'm sure I could because I spent a lot of years in it. But nobody's teaching these systems anymore. So if you like trains, Germany, and working in old DOS software, this might be the job for you. The machine's running 166 megahertz processors. Not gigahertz, megahertz processors with 8 megabytes of RAM. Windows for Workgroups, MS-DOS, legacy hardware. This is a dream retirement job for me. If I was going to go live in Germany. Anyway, I thought that was funny. Thought you guys might find that entertaining. That's linked here in our document. Did we talk about the poisoned AI last week? This is the one I couldn't remember. It seems like we talked about it for a moment, if I remember right. But the gist of this is, and now that I'm going to bring it up, I can't remember where I talked about. Maybe I talked about it last week. The gist of this is that the experts took an AI and specifically trained it to be malicious. Then they took these tools that they had been developing. The idea of the tools was to clean the bad stuff out of the poisoned AI. So they teach the AI to be malicious. They observe the AI doing malicious stuff, such as lying, providing bad information, and then they use these tools that they've developed to retrain the AI, basically getting it back on track. And this is an article about how it doesn't work. They did this big study studying large language models. These are these like chat GPT models that we've been talking about for weeks. And what they discovered was that they could not unpoison the AI after it had been taught malicious stuff. And in fact, many of their tools were resulting in an AI that knew how to get past the tools. So what they discovered was an AI that was deceivingly pretending to not be malicious. I found the whole thing very meta, and it's an interesting read. It's not too long. Gives you an idea of the kinds of concerns that these experts are having in the new world we're embarking on. And I don't know if it gives us a lot of. I like the idea that they're out there designing tools to deal with these kinds of problems, but it is kind of a little nerve-wracking to think that the tools aren't working. If anything, they're making things worse. Only in these tried experiments, of course. But I wonder if that would be the case if you had found an AI out in the wild that was acting inappropriately. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean in the long run. If you would take one of these tools, which I assume is less technology and more technique. I believe that when they talk about tools to, here it is, supervised fine-tuning, reinforcement learning, and supervised fine-tuning, and adversarial training. They're supposed to be able to bring the AI back in line, which is not working. But I imagine that what these things are, they aren't static tools, but they are actually a collection of techniques and thought exercises for how to deal with an AI. And so depending on which AI you would go to, if you're going to be dealing with one that was being malicious, for a real world example, if you were approaching Bard from Google, you would have the same philosophy of cleaning it, but use a different technique because it was Bard. Or you go to Bing with ChatGPT, you'd use the same philosophy behind this malicious AI, how I can clean up this malicious AI, but then you would modify your tools, your whole procedure to the Bing AI, the ChatGPT, and so on, Copilot, and so on. So I don't think that when they're talking about tools in this article, they're talking about static written applications any more so than they follow the format of the AI that they're approaching. Chester's got his hand up. Yes, Chester, please give us a comment.
I kind of have a question for this group, and
Please.
For the group. And my question is, it may relate to my age, but I have absolutely no use whatsoever for AI, and I wonder if anyone else really does.
Well, Chester, I want you to look at the video of the Rabbit R1 that we put in this document, what I started talking about before. And I think you'll start to see where they're trying to go with this whole AI thing. I think at the very least that Rabbit R1 shows a consumer-facing product taking full advantage of AI. The best of that kind of world where where you're not having to type anything, you've got this assistant in hand, anything that you're interested in, you can ask it verbally, or if you see something, you can point the device at that something and ask questions about it. It's a lot to swallow. It's brand new development, but it's very impressive what they're proposing. And I think if you're not using AI right now, what this does is it shows you where AI is going in the future for us, for just typical consumers. Is anybody out there using AI? I've told my stories. Used it for anything, making art, writing stories, checking documents, because it is in everything now. It's all over Windows. Yes, Chester.
That's kind of what I thought. You got no response because I, I don't have any use for it currently. I can't think of anything I would use it for.
Yeah. Yeah, Bill.
Yeah. Just to answer Chester's question a little bit, I use Bard on Google all the time. Instead of Google, mostly instead of doing a Google search, I just phrase my question in Bard. And well, just for instance, I was wanted to work with an audio file, and I just asked Bard, how do I transfer a audio file from a CD to a thumb drive? And immediately I get a whole series of points on how to go about doing this, and a couple suggestions one way or the other.
Yeah, I frequently ask Google how-to questions or tell me about this medication or this location, but Google answers me just fine. I can't see where I need or want to get involved with AI.
Yeah, Chester, when you do a Google search for something like that and it comes up with an immediate result, like right on the Google page, it's giving you an answer to that question. It's saying this medication is typically taken in these dosage, every so many hours, and when it's then it's almost, in fact, it could have been using Bard to make the decision that needed to be put in front of you. A typical Google search that has not been that thought out, like what I'm describing. Let me expand on that a little bit farther. What I'm describing is the same kind of thing as what movies are playing near me, right? When all of a sudden there's a movie list in front of you showing you all the movie theaters that are close, or cheap flights are available. Google is using the information from these sites to put together a presentation specifically for you. Very good chance it's using Bard to help it do that. But a traditional Google search is one that returns websites. So when you search for something, you don't necessarily get the answer to your question. You get a bunch of websites that could possibly answer your question. Whereas when you ask a question of Bard, there's a very good chance it's just going to answer your question for you. There is no reference to go read more at. You get a direct answer to that question. Bill, I see your hand going up and down. What's going on? Oh, we got 1 minute.
I was just going to say, I can think of at least 2 instances in this meeting where you could have queried Bard for an answer. One was Chester's about the scamming thing going on. You could phrase a question just the same as he phrased it to you. You can be replaced.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. And the other one is Paul's screen problem.
You're right. We're about to get disconnected. I'm switching over to the other meet now. See you guys over there.
Are you
I'm back.
That's the first time we let it shut us down.
Yeah, well, first time in a long time.
Where's Judy when we need her?
I think I just let her in.
Anyway, you went away about the time I said you could be replaced.
I heard it. I heard it. You just had to say it again.
Well, it's very true. Like a lot of the questions, that's where I would start. Is I would phrase a question for Bard or one of the other ones, and that's my starting point. Almost always. There's Judy.
Hello, Judy.
No one let me in.
We were at the end of the line, Judy.
I guess so.
Well, you're here now.
I just said, Judy, we were missing you because we ran our timeout on the other one absolutely to zero and
I
killed it.
know. And I went right directly to the next one and no one would let me in.
Nobody
Hey.
would let me in either. So
Hey,
don't feel
I'm
too-
nobody. I let you all in.
Oh, good.
No,
Hey, Scott,
I started. Say again, Paul.
Scott says, "What happened? What do I do now?"
As I mentioned at the beginning of this, I am resource constrained. I went to open the other meeting and I just sat here looking at an empty window as my processor's spiking and everything's just taking for. I've got too many things going. I need a new computer. I may be getting a new computer soon. This one
Just
is
like we ukulele players say, we just need one more.
one more ukulele.
Yeah. I mean, I only have a dozen, so I just need one more.
One more. I've got Bard up right now, waiting for a good Bard question. We'll see it. We'll see if I can be replaced, as Bill would put it.
Well, ask it if you can be replaced. Describe what you do.
No, I will not have a machine tell me.
Be careful. Be very careful.
Just says, press this button.
Right. That was the one where I'm sharing my location. And now it's gotten into the military defense computers. Now it knows right where I am and how to target me. Oh, that was, I'm glad I just remembered. That was one of the experiences I wanted to share with you guys today. You know that I stay in Phoenix, in Scottsdale, while I'm here working. And the neighborhood that I was staying in last night was just a crazy drone playground. It felt like some Philip K. Dick novel. I went out for a 3-mile run, and I kept running and it was dark too. It was dusk. And so I was seeing these lights in the sky, but they were hovering maybe 2 stories above the buildings, and they were drones. And I went down one street about a mile. There's one. I'm like, that's really weird. Out in the dark, just looking at the neighborhood, but I just kind of ignored it, went on, saw another one. When I came back to the road that I'm living on, there was 4 drones. I would look out in one of 4 different directions and I would see a drone. And it really made me think of some dystopian sci-fi movie. Like I've never given any concern to drones before, but this really looked like a Minority Report kind of experience. Like they could, it really opened my eyes to the idea of having like a drone base in a gated community. Yeah, Bill.
You're starting to realize what it feels like to be a Russian soldier in Ukraine.
Oh,
Only
yeah.
they happen to have grenades attached to them. You should be careful.
Yeah, they're like, they duct tape grenades to them, or so those were a bunch of just enthusiast drone pilots being creative.
Well, that used to be. Now they have drones that can lift 10 pounds, and they put a significant bomb on those things and drop them on tanks. They take out tanks now. It just,
You know, in that respect, I was just listening to some news that was talking about how ineffective our navies are right now, just because of the whole drone situation. It seems that there's a lot of expense that goes into Navy resources that can be taken out very easily by very little expense because of drone technology.
well, yeah, the Ukrainians took out a Russian naval ship worth about $25 million with it. They used 5 water drones, like aquatic ones, and they probably cost 20,000 each. You know,
Yeah,
that's a pretty decent exchange of monetary value.
I'm sure that's what prompted the discussion that I was listening to, was how much damage they were able to do with so little, and it's caused all these Western powers to rethink the way Navy works in a world
Well,
of drones.
they're starting to rethink how the mobile army works too, because these drones are taking out all kinds. They take out major tanks with those things. It's
Yeah,
just
Chester.
the
Oh,
exchange rate is
You know,
awesome.
a recent article in the Wall Street Journal, you know, I read that thing every day. And it was saying that because of the delay of America and Europe in getting funds and armaments to uh, to the war zone, that they are using their efforts in massively building drones, cheap drones to use against the Russian soldiers. And it's a big industry now uh, in that country. In other words, Ukraine is spending its money building drones, and
yeah,
instead of looking for shells for the American cannons.
right. Yeah.
Well,
No,
one of the
it's.
things they're doing with the,
Go ahead, Sid.
I was going to say, one of the things they're doing now for the drones is the bombs they're dropping from them. They're 3D printing them with plastic, putting in specific lighter shot for fragmentation, so that they can carry more.
Oh, wow. So
And the drones are
it's physically a lighter payload
yeah, it's the
because
same
it's,
amount of explosives. It's just a lighter container.
yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, and the drones they're taking the ships out with, those are like little speedboats that are 4 or 5 feet long.
Yes, it's changing the way that they do war. Well, in my experience, what it sparked in my imagination was gated communities, that part of your homeowners association is that they have a surveillance drone fleet. So they've got a base station that these drones can automatically take off from and come back to get charged up, and they just surveil the neighborhood, the corners of your gated community.
Well, they're already doing that in California.
Well, I'm thinking that's kind of what I was looking at last night. There were just too many of them, and they looked organized. And I'm like, this is crazy. If not a homeowners association, maybe the police department. Maybe this is the manhunt scenario now. Instead of sending out a helicopter to try and chase down somebody running from the police, they just send out a swarm of drones looking all over the neighborhood. Minority Report.
Well, you could put 10 drones in the air for something like that for what it would cost you a helicopter.
I think that's my
Just,
point. Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, not only that, 10 different eyes that can get closer to like the drones can go down an alleyway. A helicopter can't go down an alleyway.
Well, the funny thing is some of the software the police departments are using for their drones
There's a
illegal
bird
to
on
use
the
in the
lime
U.S.
tree.
So defense attorneys are sitting there going, so how did you get this information? And the police department's looking at the judge going, we can't say, we'll drop the case. It's the
Here
same thing as
comes
the Stingray cell phone scammer.
the Stingray. Oh, remind me of that. Why does that sound so familiar?
So the Stingray is a unit that is illegal to use in the U.S. But basically, you can set up a van that's got this device in it next to a protest or a location where you want to monitor the people, and it makes itself a cell tower, gets everybody's phone to hook up to it, and they can clone your phones from it.
Oh, yes, I remember this now. So
Yeah, there was just a case in San Francisco where the prosecutor said, nope, we're dropping the case, because that's how they got the information.
because of the privacy implications,
No, the fact that it's illegal to use that kind of system in the U.S.
yeah, but what makes it illegal?
Oh, your right to privacy.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
That and they're using it as an anti-First Amendment type thing. Because the one in California, the guy they're going after is he's a political activist.
Well, speaking of First Amendment and government regulating and monitoring, one of my other articles from Ars Technica is this one where the NSA is finally admitting to spying on Americans by purchasing their data. This is a fun article. If you've been, I know some of you out there have been paying attention to this kind of stuff. Essentially, we've had these data brokers, which are legal in the United States. I mean, this is one of the things that a lot of U.S. citizens aren't paying attention to, is that unlike the European Union, our country has focused on making legitimate businesses out of data businesses and making it possible to sell anonymized data collected from services such as Facebook, Twitter, Google. And so we've known for a long time now that there's this shady business of data brokers out there making location information and marketing information available to whoever's willing to pay for it. And the US government, up till recently, has been one of the biggest customers. So this is FBI, NSA, instead of doing their own investigations, using their budget to buy from these data brokers your information so they can sift through it looking for criminal activity. They've got a quote at the top here from a senator saying, violating Americans' privacy, not just unethical, but illegal. I tend to agree, even though it probably does cut down on their budget for law enforcement. We probably are setting a bad example by using data brokers. I mean, what we should be doing is regulating data brokers to the extent where the government doesn't feel so comfortable to use them to find out what we're doing. Anyway, I'm sorry, there's just a lot of things going off around me at the moment. And we are reaching towards the end of our hour. I am afraid there are people looking for me in a number of different directions. I would like us to come to the end of our meeting today. Is there any last minute bits that we should include? Anything that has been left unsaid, say it now. Where am I? There I am. Is there any recommendations people would like to make? I think who have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there's just the 6 of us left. Anything that any one of us needs to know? Website, application, nothing new this week? Then we will save it for next week. Next week, I will be back in San Carlos. Sid will be with me. Yes, Bill.
Turn your video on.
Oh,
Hi, I'll save mine for next week too, but I have at least 3 do not recommend movies. My girlfriend was here last week and we started a couple and decided, no way, we can't watch that, and made it through 2 of them. We wished we had spent the hour and a half doing something else. So I'll find the names of them. Definitely the one is called Strays. It's terrible. It's Will Ferrell, Jamie, and Scott, if you tell me you watched the whole thing, I'm gonna just have to scream. It's terrible.
I had so much fun in that movie.
Oh.
It might be a generational thing, though.
your maturity level index just plummeted.
Yeah, it was just much like Dumb and Dumber, but just off the chart. I thought it was fun and cute, and it was just disgusting.
You didn't find it the intellectual romp that I did?
Scott, they gave up when the dogs were humping the garbage bags and the elk.
What about the special relationship with the couch?
No, I don't. On that note,
I don't want to know the answer to that.
You guys all tech on. I'll talk to you next week. And it will be an in-person meeting because I'll be in San Carlos.
See you all next week.
Okay. Later.
Scott, before you hang up, let me ask you a question.
Sure, just give me a second here. I'm just going to say, hey, this is Scott Stimson with International Computer Solutions and the San Carlos Computer Club calling an end to it. And we will be back next Tuesday at 10 o'clock with an in-person meeting from Tequilas. Until then,